All right. I'm Thomas Trombley, Town Supervisor, Town of Champlain. I welcome everybody here. This is a ceremony that's dear to our hearts, to the town board's hearts. It's been 2.5 years in coming. We've been working on this project feverishly, trust me, and collecting funding, and now we're ready to break ground. And so what I have here, I'd like to do an introduction to everybody that's present. Of course, our cameraman is also the area legislator, Clinton County legislator, Calvin Castine. I have Jason Borey, town council member, Mayor Janet McFetrich, Village of Champlain, trustee of the Village of Champlain, Kim Trombley, Karen Reed from the Foundation of CVPH, and Melissa Gooley from Hudson Headwaters Health Network, and Nikki Malinsky, also trustee, Village of Champlain. And I thank everybody for attending. At this time, I'd like to ask Calvin to come up and give a brief history of this park from its inception many years ago and how it ended up here, and then I'll take over afterwards.
And he did emphasize brief, right? Bob Venne, for those of you who don't know, was a member of this community. He served on a whole lot of boards. He was very involved in a whole lot of things. And in 1990, I convinced him to grab a microphone and do a program called What's Going On Here? And he kind of became a local legend, and justifiably so. So when he passed away in 1997, Jay Montpelier and I got a hold of Norm Bono and said, what do you think about starting a Bob Venne Park committee? So Norm and Jay agreed it'd be a great idea. So they called me to do some publicity on it on Hometown Cable. And we did, and next thing I knew, I was on the committee. So I hadn't anticipated that privilege, but Mary Rascal was also on that committee, and we had one or two others. And right away, the Champlain Telephone Company had this huge auction to help raise funds, and we appreciate what they did back then. And the money we raised and donations came in. We approached Louis Bedard about buying some property on the Prospect Hill Road. And we put a down payment down there, and all of a sudden we just couldn't get any more funds, because if you're not a government entity, you can't get grants, as you know. So we decided we'd like to turn over whatever property we could to the town. So we went to Louis and Rita Bedard and said, you could tell us no, because we've given you money and we can't continue making the payments on it, or could you find a small piece of land that would be appropriate for us? So Louis said, this spot here would be much more appropriate because of its history. Bob loved history, the history of the Battle of Plattsburgh and the troops that were here. It's a great spot. So he ended up, for the small amount of money we'd given him, making this property here available across from Northeastern Clinton Central School. So that's how it started, and over the years, it's been a slow progress. A lot of progress has been made in the last 2.5 years. I know seeing Janet here, her husband Clark Hurdick spent hours down here working on this park, and others have done that too. Barb Venne had hoped to be here this morning to see this groundbreaking, because it's been a long time, over a quarter of a century before this is happening right here. But she's unable to make it, so she wanted to thank the committee for all that you're doing right now to make this finally happen on behalf of her family. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. So, yes, that's the history, and I appreciate you giving that. And it has been a long time coming. And over the years, before I was supervisor, I was always amazed at watching Alan Racine, our current highway superintendent, out here tilling the land. Because when this was donated, when Louis and Rita donated it, this whole back area, not the place we're standing, that was all cornfield. So it had to be all tilled, seeded. Alan still tells me stories of all the work he did out here, picking stones, etc. And I want to thank Alan for that, because without all his devotion, and much of it, by the way, was on his own time with his own equipment, that field would not look the way it is. That soccer field that the kids play on wouldn't be there. So I thank Alan, and I thank the late Clark Hurdick as well, because he was very passionate about trying to see this someday be a place for families all through the town to come here and enjoy, the kids to play. And that's why we're doing this. Is that it's very important. The town board feels it's extremely important to build recreation in order to keep young families. And hopefully, if we can get more housing, we'll attract more young families in. And this thing is going to be key. As you can see, currently phase 1 is a state-of-the-art fitness center. There's nothing like this south of Glens Falls or east of Watertown. So we're going to be a pioneer up here in the northeast corner. And then a double pickleball court, which is over in this area behind the folks that are here, behind the dignitaries. And then phase 2 would be a basketball court right behind the payloader here. Currently I'm standing on what's going to be a parking lot, probably within a week or so. And then they will, from that parking lot, continue working, doing the excavation work. And I want to thank the highway department in advance for all that they're going to be doing, because without that in-kind work, we wouldn't be able to afford this. They will put all the substrate material down, and then I'll be bringing in some of the contractors to put the concrete and the asphalt. Additionally, I think we need to thank the Robinson family. So the piece of ground that we're standing on was not donated. It was not part of the Louis Bedard farm. It was a triangle right in this area that was crucial to have this built on, because we don't want to disturb any possible burial areas from where the soldiers were buried from the War of 1812. So therefore, they graciously gave us a nice deal. I think they sold it very reasonably to us. That was a process to get through, of course. It always is. It takes about a year to get all the clear titles, etc., but it's been purchased. The town now owns this, and it's been merged through the tax assessor's office with the other parcels. So now we're looking at, don't quote me, but it's a little over 20 acres now. So it's a much better piece of property. Now the important part, funding. As you know, the taxpayers can't afford to bear the brunt of all of this, so we had to go out looking for funding. And I want to thank Billy Jones, our District 115 Assemblyman, very graciously gave us $125,000 towards this through DASNY. I want to thank Hudson Headwaters Health Network, who donated, the foundation of CVPH, who donated both a large sum of money, and the American Legion Montgomery Post 912 for their donation, and also the family of Bob Venne. They also made a substantial donation towards this because they are excited to see this finally happen. There's going to be a dedication. This has never been actually formally named by the town. We've always called it Bob Venne Park because that's how it initiated. But there will be a resolution in June to formally name it the Bob Venne Community Park, and there will be a full dedication on, is it June 25th, I believe?
Friday, last weekend.
I didn't write it, July 25th, I believe, yes. I believe it's July 25th, so stay tuned for that. We'll get those details out. I also want to thank the town board. Nope, I don't run this place alone. This is a full board that makes all the decisions. And when it came to talking about this, suggesting this fitness center, etc., and laying these ideas out, they were always supportive because they have the same vision. We need to build for the future. So I very much appreciate all of our board members, especially our Parks and Recreation chairs, Brian Moore and Dorothea Southwick. At this time, I'd like to invite Councilmember Jason Borey up here if he'd like to say a few words in regards to the town board.
Thank you, Supervisor Trombley. It really is a great moment when a community can look at such a development that took years of vision, trust and support of the larger community, both villages, our health partners, both in Champlain, Plattsburgh, in the greater northern region, the people that are dedicated to doing this, whether it's the town employees, the help of the school across the street. It really truly takes a community to bring all of this together, and a vision that is finally coming to fruition. So many years ago, as Calvin had mentioned, this was a goal, and now the goal is happening. It has been continued, it has already started, but this is a movement in the best direction. And it's been such a joy and a privilege to be a board member, to be able to see all of this work come to reality. As somebody who knew Bob Venne many years ago, and his dedication to the community, and inspiring young people like myself at the time, it's great to be able to have his namesake on such a project, and for many generations to be able to experience that. And I have to say, Tom, it would not have been possible without your push. So many thanks to you and the work that you have done. And kudos to also Larry Barcombe, who was also supportive in seeing that the park continued and worked, and then you kept that torch and you ran with it even further, and here we are breaking ground for the vision that has been in the works for many years. So it's truly exciting. And I know we didn't give a little round of applause, but we probably should, for all of our partners and the people who have been working tirelessly at this, whether they're donating time, they're donating funds, or they have been part of the vision for many years. They deserve a huge round of applause for all of that work. So, yeah.
Well said.
So thank you to Calvin, and thanks to everybody. It's really exciting. So stay tuned. You're going to see this spring up from the ground. It's going to be great.
Spring for sure. It looks like a spring over there. Would anyone from the village board care to speak?
The village board would like to say something.
Thank you.
Stay right here. Okay. We're all together. So move in, I guess, a little bit. Well, I really want to say congratulations to the supervisor and to the town board for pursuing this. You know, it's one thing to have a dream and a vision, and then to get to the point where you're actually having a groundbreaking. That is really exciting. And the village of Champlain is thrilled with your efforts. We know how hard it is to get money, to find people to help you bring these kinds of projects together. So kudos to you. It's just going to be such an asset for the community, and we can't wait to come here and exercise and bring our families and welcome visitors. We're good. You're good? All right. So on behalf of the village of Champlain, we say congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And now for the ceremonial tossing of dirt. No. So now I guess I'm going to invite three of you up here. I've only got one shovel, but we need to do the ceremonial groundbreaking.
All right. I'll grab the mic because you can't grab the mic and the shovel at the same time. So it's about 11:18 on this May 27th, 2025. And you'll see the biggest shovelful wins.
You're in front of us.
As I throw it.
All right.
Here we go. There's a. There we go. The ground is broke. All right. I guess that is probably going to wrap up the ceremony. That wrapping it up, Tom?
Yes, I think we're going to wrap it up at that.
All right. So we're going to wrap it up and let you do it.
Yeah, so again, thank you everybody. Thank you so much to all of our donors and supporters. And to Calvin for all the work he did years ago getting this started. And stay tuned. When you go by, you're going to see some things happening in the next few weeks. Of course, weather permitting, as always. And we will be celebrating the opening hopefully in a few months.
Okay, again, groundbreaking here at Bob Venne Park. This is a view of the area right now, where the historic area is, where we believe the cemetery was. There are markers there. The markers, some of the panels were located in other locations. We brought them here last year. Woodmen of the World donated 2 historic markers last year, one there and one over across from where Dewey Tavern was back in the War of 1812 when the British invaded the area here. So Bob, as I said, was a very much interested in the history. He had a tremendous photo collection of photos of the area, and one thing he also liked was shade. And I know the Kiwanis have donated a tree every year, and Bob likes shade. He's one of these people whose skin did not tan, so he always wanted to stay in the shade. So getting a picture for the local newspaper here right now. There we go. Tossing another load. So, and this gazebo here was also donated by the Woodmen. So the community has come together and is working on this. The Harry McManus Trail comes through here. The all-purpose trail comes right by here. It goes from Rouse's Point, the village of Rouse's Point, to the village of Champlain. It goes by the golf course. It goes by the school here. So it's a very meaningful path. And of course, we've mentioned this right across from the school. This is directly across the road. So it's an area that's located between the two villages, and it's an area that the students will be very familiar with when they graduate from Northeastern Clinton or attend here. And hopefully, over the coming years, with the park activity here, we can actually get some more into the history of this area here, because going back to 1814, the invasion started here in this area on August 28th, the first invaders came through, and they did not leave this property until September 25th. The Battle of Plattsburgh occurred on September 11th, so this area was occupied for a full month here during that invasion. So that's going to wrap it up from the Bob Venne Park 2025 is May 27th. Thanks for watching.